The Delhi Declaration that was announced yesterday on the day one of India's G20 presidency had some important takeaways, geopolitical takeaways. To understand some of them, we have a journalist from China, Zhou Jiaxin. He's a journalist with CGT and Network in China. Welcome to NDTV, sir. Tell me something. What are your basic impressions on the declaration that came out yesterday? What are the big geopolitical takeaways?
So first, I just want to congratulate the presidency of India for this year's G20, and we actually had the joint declaration for that, and that's what we wanted to achieve during the G7 because the consensus is really important at the very difficult time when we're seeing the Ukraine crisis going on, but more importantly is about the global economic recovery. But actually, when you look at the joint declaration that was released yesterday, kind of like centered on the Ukraine crisis, which I think the media, particularly Western media, are crazy about because we also heard that the foreign ministry spokesperson in Ukraine was not quite okay with that. But at the same time, I think Modi has been consistent with his attitude about that. First, peace talks. Both China and India and those developing countries within the BRICS mechanism want to see that the two countries can sit down and talk and find solutions to stabilize the region, especially when it comes to the a global supply chain, because this is really harming the global supply chain, which is also one of the important sources to the global economic recovery. Second is that China and India, I think, are both stick to the UN center system, which actually emphasize, the respect to the territorial integrity and the sovereignty. So this is the way. But at the same time, I just want to emphasize, because if you look at the declaration, it emphasizes that G20 is an economic forum. It is not a platform for solving this kind of issue. So let's just focus on, for example, what I think India has achieved now is inviting African Union to join the family to try to make more voices for the South. So that's the way that I think developing countries or emerging economies like China and South Africa and also Brazil, which is the two countries to hold the next to G20 that will focus on the economic recovery. Also, I think there are also some discussions about infrastructure plan introduced by India, inviting Saudi Arabia, European Union, and also some other countries to be the economic corridor, which honestly just vis-a-vis China's Belt and Road Initiative. And also, there is kind of like controversy surrounding the Guado Economic Corridor, which is a CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So, but for my understanding, either China's economic corridor or India's economic, I think the ultimate goal is to try to make sure that the infrastructure is the basic way to try to bring jobs, bring opportunities for industries, and try to integrate those synergies between developing countries. So, but I just wanted to say that boosting the cooperations, the multiple cooperation is the thing that we wanted to reform. We wanted to strengthen the bilateral or trilateral or multilateral cooperation. I think that's the thing that India wants to advocate, and I just want to say this is really a successful one in the process.
When it comes to Indo-Chinese relationships, we know that they've not been the best in the last few years. How do you see the takeaways of G20 impacting this relationship between these two countries, especially this corridor project that has come about? How do you see this playing out?
Okay, in terms of the bilateral ties, I think when it comes to G20, which was happening now, actually, I think the foreign minister of your country said that China has been very supportive of India's presidency, which means that the two countries are actually, I think, strategically calm about the border disputes or the trading or the de-risking strategies introduced by Washington. But at the same time, I think the two leaders are from the Chinese side. The foreign ministry said that two sides have maintained a smooth communication. I think that's important. I think the trading number statistics was good. I think some exports from India has been doubled over the past 6 months. So this is real good news. But at the same time, I think there must be some chance for both countries to sit down and try to make sure that the two leadership could, find a way to solve these disputes over the borders. I think over I think maybe I think since 2017, I think we have the border roles, and then when it comes to 2020, we have also carriages. I think two peoples don't want to see that, but actually it hasn't been escalated. It means that the two governments have dealt with this issue as well. So I think just I think two leaders need time.
Right. My last question to you: how do you see this whole push for diversifying global supply chains, and also this push for a green pact? Because this is also talking about a stronger climate action and the phasing down of fossil fuels, something that affects developed countries. So, what do you have to say about that?
So when it comes to global supply chain, China is now facing really bigger issues. So because when it comes to because sometimes when the economic recovery or we have to deal with the climate crisis, we have to turn to the technological part. We have to innovate the techno industry to try to find new ways so that at the same time we want to develop, at the same time we wanted to achieve the UN's sustainable global achievement, which means that we have to follow the emission rules or energy rules. So I think the two countries can try to find ways to cope with the climate change at the same time, because I think China and the US actually are working this well. So why when the two powers are actually encountered in a difficult way, we have to see the difference, but at the same time we want to find something in common. For example, like the digital transition, green strategies. We can find some other ways to cope with the areas that facing humanity. So I think that's the part that two countries or two leadership need to explore. And I think this forum actually, this session for this morning, the future, I think they will just put this as the focus areas.
Also, Joel, just tell us this one last thing. What did you like about India? How was your trip to India? And tell us your personal experience.
Okay, this is my third time visiting India. It was like 10 years ago. I visited Chennai and Mumbai. I found people here really nice and kind, and of course India is one of the ancient civilizations, as we did, because as China is initiating its civilization and dialogue, I think India is one of the most important one. So I think that two people should promote mutual understanding through our medias. I think I should be the really important one, not just as the visitor or travelers, but also as a responsible one, being part of this big family. So I would just bring all I have experienced here to my friends back in China, and I hope that those travels could be easier for both sides. So that could be the way, the channel for us to promote the understanding and try to make Asian countries different. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.